Hey everybody, Dr. Gianmichael Salvato, your organic living and peak performance coach, and you're watching another installment of Prosperity Reinvented, where we come together to talk about the things that are happening in the entrepreneurial movement in our industry and around the world. As I said, this is Dr. Gianmichael Salvato. With me on today's show, I have a special guest, possibly two more that'll be coming on as the day continues, and if not, maybe we can convince my friend Dave to jump in and take one of the extra seats so that this conversation can continue. You know, on the Blab platform, one of the things that's really cool about this compared to some of the other platforms out there is that Blab is conversational. It's an opportunity for not only the guests to jump in and join the conversation, but also for those of you that are watching from around the world to get in on the conversation as well. So let me go ahead and introduce my first guest, and I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about himself and about his background. But I'm excited today that we've got some what I believe to be the next generation of real wealth builders, coming up through the ranks, proving themselves in the marketplace, and really bringing tremendous value. Joe Stewart is an author. He's a success coach and has a successful business with Fit Team, and lives down in. Are you in Stewart, Joe?
Yeah, pretty much Jensen Beach, Stewart area.
Jensen Beach, okay. And so he's in Jensen Beach, Florida, what's considered, I believe, the Gold Coast. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your background, what brought you to the industry, and talk a little bit about what you talk about in your book.
Cool, absolutely, man. Well, I just wanted to say thank you for having me on your show today. This is really awesome to be able to share my story on here and try out this Blab platform for the first time. But anyway, guys, my name is Joe Stewart. From Jensen Beach, Florida. I was when I was in middle school and high school, I was starting to already kind of figure out what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. I picked up a guitar when I was in high school, started playing with that, getting into music and wanting to play in a band, which I did. Playing in a band in the garage and recording. So, music is my background. My first job was at a local guitar store right down the street known as Jam Music. So I started off there, under the table. I was underage. I was just kind of like helping out over the holidays and with sales and fixing guitars and tuning guitars. And, if a guitar teacher wouldn't show up, I would kind of fill in and teach guitar lessons. So I think that's where I kind of, the whole coaching and teacher side of me kind of came out as I was teaching, kids how to play guitar. I was like, I kind of like this. This is cool. Fast forward a couple years, I kind of grew up. I dropped out of high school. I was playing in a band, and that was my focus, and that's what I wanted to get into. I had to get a job, obviously to pay bills, and I was working in a department store for a couple of years, and this young guy approached me and said, "Hey, you're a sharp guy. Are you going to college? Are you doing anything? Are you looking for anything outside of your current job? To make some extra income. It's not going to interfere with your job or your schooling." And I said, "Yeah, man." I was like, "Man, I was making minimum wage, so I was like, yeah, I would really love to make some extra money right now. That'd be awesome." So, we exchanged business cards and phone numbers, and, next thing you know, we're texting back and forth, and he's sending me a, video about a business. And so a week later, I go, get invited to a meeting, and it was, it was the Amway global meeting and the pitch for the Amway business. So, I got started with that about 5 or 6 years ago. Did that for about a year, kind of went through a lot of personal development. At the time I was addicted to drugs. I was broke. I had a lot of bad habits. I had a lot of bad friends and bad people I was surrounding myself with. So I learned through that time, who surround myself with better people, plug into that personal development, replace bad habits with good habits. And, from there, like I said, Amway was my first introduction and my first experience with the industry. Kind of jumped around a little bit after that. Amway was just kind of like my first exposure to the industry. I got a little bit of different companies, leaders and corporate side, and people in the field who were leaders, and kind of got to know them and kind of figured out what worked and what didn't work. And then from there, I kind of developed my own style and started writing and, posting on Facebook and blogging and stuff just to kind of get my message out there. And, here I am, 6 years later, still going strong with it, still writing blogs. I published my first book, Create Your Own Economy via Network Marketing, back in 2012. This is available Amazon, Barnes and Noble, anywhere books are sold. It just goes over my story, talking about, the road less traveled and college versus the school of hard knocks, and, kind of my introduction to network marketing. And like I said, what kind of works for me, what didn't work for me, and try to teach people a little bit about the industry. It's perfect for people who just heard about the industry, kind of skeptical, not really sure if they want to do it or not. It's perfect for people like that, more beginners. So, yeah, that's my story so far. That's, I'm just getting started with everything. I'm young. So I'm real thankful that I got introduced to the industry when I was 17. So that's why I'm able to continue to learn and continue to grow and continue to teach. And, I'm looking forward to a long career, with this industry. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here for part-time. I'm not here to just be a statistic and be a regular old network marketer. I'm here to get to the top of this, and I will, So
right on.
Thanks, man.
Well, thanks for being on the show, and and I think your humility definitely shows. I want folks to know. Make sure that if you're watching this for the first time, if you're not already following Joe, or me for that matter, at the top next to our names, right up above here, there's a little icon. You can click on the follow link. It looks like a little Weeble kind of character. Click on that and make sure that you're following us. And join in on the conversation. Today we are talking about, and by the way, Dave, if you want to jump in, because I have a feeling that our guests are having issues with their first blab getting in. Sometimes folks don't set up their profile beforehand, and they get here and it tells them they can't get in, and they think that they're doing something wrong. They just haven't set up their profile. So anybody who wants to jump in, you're more than welcome to occupy one of the two available seats. For those who are brand new to Blab, let me explain a couple things before we get into our topic today. And that's that, like I said, what makes Blab so exciting is that it's truly conversational. So folks that you don't even know could be watching your program, and they can request one of the 4 open seats that are available, and sort of join in really an organic engagement. And that's what we're all about as relationship marketers is increasing this level of engagement. And so one of the okay, I see Dave's got some folks coming into the office. No worries, brother. We'll hear from you another time. You're welcome anytime on the show. And so today, what we wanted to talk about, the primary topic, is why a New Year's resolution is not enough. We're at that time of year when people traditionally start making their New Year's resolutions, which are just delusional. And I say that they're delusional because they think if they write something down on paper, because someone just told them once that if a goal isn't written down on paper, it's not going to happen. Well, they didn't listen to the rest of that training, so they just think, okay, I wrote my goal down on paper. Now where's the millions? So January comes and February comes along, and before you know it, it's July, and they haven't taken any action on those goals. They're waiting for the magic to happen. And so New Year's resolutions aren't enough. And not only is action required, but what are you waiting for New Year for? This is the best time of year to talk to people, because if there's ever a time of year when people are feeling the crunch, they're feeling the pain of their financial situation, when they're feeling the pain of their health situation, when they're feeling the pain of things have to change in their lives, it's the end of the year. When loved ones are coming around and they're buying gifts for family members and loved ones, and they're realizing that they've just worked all year and they're struggling. We know that from statistics, the average person in North America is going to spend $880 on gifts this year. And I can tell you, looking at the income statistics in North America, that the average person is going to be paying off that $880 until November of next year. So, Jim Rohn said, for things to change, you got to change. For things to get better, you've got to get better. Joe, what are your thoughts on this? I'm sure you see people every day that tell you that, these are my goals and I'm going to crush it and I'm going to make $1 million, and then they never get off their ass and do anything.
Yeah, like you said, I think the problem with it is everyone, they get all excited when December hits and they're like, Christmas is coming. I'm going to start writing down my New Year's resolution. I'm going to go to the gym pretty soon and get signed up for January 1st. But it's like, why wait? All the leaders that I follow, not just for, network marketing, but any successful person that I've been following online, or I follow their stuff, they're all getting started right now. Their 2016 tour, their travel plans, it all starts right now. the things that they're trying to accomplish in January, they're kind of right now, they're kind of setting up for that. They're not writing stuff down, but they're putting in the phone calls, the messages, the emails, they're traveling. It's, 2015 is almost over. So they're already kind of, like you said, taking the action. Again, 2016 is not here yet. So, obviously everyone has to wait until January 1st, but it's like, no, it's like everyone, and the fact that everyone waits until January 1st, the people who do that, they're not really serious. Like you said, they're going to, I don't know what the statistics are, but they probably stop going to the gym by, the second week of January or February or whatever, and then they're done. But it's people who, they don't, every day is New Year's. Every day is Monday. Every day is a new day to start fresh and, a new, to start your New Year's resolution. So, you got to take action. That, December 1st, that could have been your New Year's, get started 30 days early because, I don't know what everyone's New Year's resolution is. Some people might want to quit smoking or something. So let's say, what are they going to do? Wait until January 1st? Why not start now? So that way, when that comes around, maybe you've weaned yourself down from 20 cigarettes a day to 5 cigarettes a day. And hey, you might not be there yet, but at least you already took the action. You got a little bit of progress, and you're doing better than if you wait until January. You see what I'm saying? It's just better to start now. Yeah, you want to write it down, but you also want to start setting yourself up.
Yeah, well, think about this. If somebody were getting ready to open a restaurant or a salon, or they're getting ready to open any other kind of business on January 1st, would they wait until January 1st to do anything? Would they wait till January 1st to set the groundwork, to do the interior, to get their inventory, to start talking to people and say, hey, I'm opening up a restaurant. We're opening January 1st. We'd love for you to be there. It's, the home-based business is
I hope not.
I think a lot of people, statistically, it's interesting to note. I know from our company, 87% of the millionaires in our company are people who started in November and December of whatever year that they got started in. And I don't think that means that November, December are magic years, but it means that those are people who decided that they were going to get started, and they got started. They didn't wait until January or February or their birthday or when the grass turns green or anything like that. And I think that the other thing that we have to look at is I find that when people are out there saying you got to treat this like a business, treat this like a business. Well, treat this like a business is vague to a person who's always worked for somebody else. So they don't know what treat this like a business is. And yes, you do have to treat your business like a business, not like a hobby. What Joe described when he said the person who says we're going to get started in January is a hobbyist. There's somebody who's not really serious, like you said. But what I suggest to people is don't treat this like a business. Treat this like it's a job. And so one of the things my mentor told me back in the early 80s, when Larry Thompson and Jim Rohn sat us down in a room, Larry Thompson said, you got Gianmichael number 1 and you got Gianmichael number 2. And Gianmichael number 1 hires Gianmichael number 2. And now Gianmichael number 2 has to get up the very next day and report to work, or else Gianmichael number 1 is going to fire him. And that stuck with me every single day of my life, is that when I sat down the night before to plan my day on paper for the next day, I make sure that the person who's planning the day on paper is Gianmichael number 1. And the person who has to show up for work the following day and get that job done, that's Gianmichael number 2. And so at the end of the day, Gianmichael number 1 looks at what Gianmichael number 2 did. And I'll tell you, 35 years of being a full-time network marketer, and being 27 of those years being in the top 10% of income earners, I didn't get there by being a bad employee. I got there by proving to Gianmichael number 1 every single day that I was dead serious about this and that I was going to be his best employee. I didn't wait for the great downline to come along. I didn't wait for the superstar to come up on my front line. I got the job done. And when you're with the right companies and Joe can tell you, when you got the right product, the right compensation plan, you don't have to wait for the superstars to show up, because it's all about bringing the product to the marketplace and bringing value to the marketplace. So if you don't start bringing value now, guess what? Somebody else is. And so January 1st, that person who's bringing value, like Joe's doing right now, is the person who's positioned for success in 2016. Jump in anytime, right. Joe. It's totally conversational, totally unstructured. I don't interrupt me anytime. And anybody else
No, yeah, I love
who's
it.
got questions, go ahead and jump in.
Yeah. No, what was I gonna say? But yeah, no, I love that analogy of being the employee and treating this, hiring yourself and treating this like a job. I mean, like you said, if you tell people to treat it like a business, they don't. I mean, what does that mean? I mean, unless you're a serious business owner, I mean, you really don't know what that means. But I mean, even just for New Year's resolutions, I mean, like you said, just planning your day the night before. I mean, that's so big in itself, and it doesn't even have to do with New Year's resolutions. But some people just don't do that. They just miss that one little step right there. And then they wake up the next morning and then nothing seems to get done because, they didn't write it down, and then they get busy with housework, and they didn't set their alarm. And I think that's where most people go wrong with this is, if they start to go full time, or they, they're starting to make some money, and then they just kind of like get their foot off the gas, and they're just like, all right, well, this is starting to pick up a little bit, a lot of the uplines,
They have
kind of screw their people when when they're showing.
They have like this mindset that I think they think that people who own their own business, certainly we have time freedom, and we can, when we need to take time off to go and do something with our loved ones, we can schedule that. But they get this idea in their heads that those people who have their own business kind of just do whatever they want every day. And that's what I think they try to emulate that. They're like, oh, well, I really don't feel like working right now. I'm going to go to the beach. And then tomorrow comes and I really don't feel like working right now. I'm going to go hang out at the gym, or I'm going to go shopping. And then before you know it, it's Thursday and they haven't gotten anything accomplished. So why don't you share with us a little bit? Now, one of the reasons I invited you to be on the show was because I'm a student of life, and I love watching people. And I especially love watching people that I see positioning themselves for success on a daily basis, watching their grind, watching their daily method of operation. So I've watched you, and I know that there's days when I see you posting, even if you're on the road, you're posting. And whatever you're doing, you're posting, you're bringing value to the marketplace no matter where life takes you. And that's one of the keys. So why don't you take us through what a day in the life of Joe Stewart is like? What's your daily method of operation?
Yeah, sounds good, man. Well, that's what's cool about this industry too, is like you said, it's mobile. I mean, if you're traveling, you can you can do whatever you want. But when I wake up, I mean, I like to wake up. I mean, I've been testing and tweaking my morning routine and my daily method of operation for years, and it's still a work in progress. I don't think I'll ever be perfect, and that's what's cool about life, is you can always add and take away what works and what doesn't work. Actually, my next book that's coming out, this is one of the chapters, is my morning routine, my daily routine, and method of operation. So that'll be cool. But yeah, I mean, when I wake up, I love to wake up grateful, just grateful that I'm alive, and grateful that I have a roof and food and, income, and I've accomplished a lot. Wake up grateful. I like to move, as soon as I get up. I mean, every day is different for me. I mean, sometimes I'll just start with a cold glass of water. Sometimes I want like a hot lemon water, just some kind of beverage to kind of get me going and, wake me up a little bit. From there, I like to go on a walk. Walk to the beach, walk somewhere, just get outside if the weather permits, get moving, kind of wake up a little bit more. When I'm walking, I usually have my headphones plugged in. I will either be dialed into like a morning motivational call with my company, or maybe I'll be speaking on it, or doing calls, three-way calls, following up. If I'm not doing that, I'll have my headphones still plugged in. I'll be listening on YouTube to personal development, motivational videos, inspiration, any of the personal development, Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar. I love personal development, self-help. When I'm not listening to that, I'll listen to like Grant Cardone and Gary Vaynerchuk, any of the like sales trainers, social media. I mean, anything good that I could fill my mind up with. And that's, I mean, you talk about me posting on Facebook and, posting and stuff. That's where all the content comes from. I mean, if you're not, sometimes I like to be entertaining and have fun, and it's not always value, but people want that too. Can't let people forget that. But all those books that we read and the audios that we listen to and the training, I mean, that's where all the content comes from. If people ask me questions and they need help with posting, or what time to post, or how to increase how many people see their posts, or even not off of Facebook. I mean, we could be talking about YouTube, Instagram, any social media, and they're asking me for advice. I mean, any of the answers that I give to them is from, the personal development and those YouTube videos. So I can't stress that enough for people to, add that, wake up early, whatever you got to do. I mean, we all have smartphones, we all have laptops. I mean, there's really no excuse that people can't be, getting personally developed and learning the skills necessary, not just for this business, but life and any business. So after I do that, I'll eat breakfast, kind of hang out for a little bit, take like a little break just to kind of eat and hang out, I read blogs online. Like I'll read industry blogs about network marketing, direct sales, kind of fill my head on what's going on. Kind of scroll Facebook for a little bit, talk to some people, reply to some messages, and then from there, I like to get in grind mode. Every day is different for me. I mean, I like to schedule everything out with the planner, but some days I'm writing or I'm just working on a new book and I'm just gonna like write until I'm done, until I can't come up with stuff anymore, until I hit that writer's block. Other days I have calls scheduled, whether it's following up with someone that I sent a fit stick sample to, or I'm following up with a lead, or I'm talking to a coaching client, or I'm closing a deal, bringing on a new affiliate or a new customer. So I'll have all those calls kind of scheduled after that. I mean, I'm not one of those entrepreneurs that grinds like 24/7. I mean, some days you do and some days you don't. But I mean, I like to, when I'm not writing, when I'm not talking to people on Facebook and the phone and doing, awesome interviews like this and, getting to know people online, like to stay in shape, go to the beach, go to the gym, travel. Obviously, like you said, I love to travel and see new stuff. And when I'm on the road, I always have my, handy dandy cell phone with me to document everything and kind of do pictures, videos, and, do funny posts and kind of show people, like you said, a day in the life of Joe Stewart, whether I'm flying somewhere or staying in a hotel somewhere. I like to, I think that keeps people motivated, because I remember a couple years ago when I was still working and, watching all these network marketers on Facebook and Instagram, and they were flying somewhere new every week and they were staying in all these 5-star hotels and hanging out by the pool and by the beach. And I was like, that kept me motivated. I wasn't mad at it. I wasn't like, man, I hate those guys, man. They're so lucky. I resonated with it. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna follow them. That's what I want. And, here I am. Last year I don't know how many flights I went on last year and how many, new states I went to, but, it was a lot. And, I don't say that to brag, but it's just cool. That was one of my goals when I got into this industry, was I wanted to travel. I wanted the freedom. I am. And
you bring balance. You bring balance to your day. I think that's another reason that you're successful is because you understand that the home-based business field isn't something that we try to work our life into, but we work that into our lives. And I think that's one of the things that I see you doing that makes you so successful is you're bringing balance. You're sure, it's really important to have structure. It's really important to plan your day, but we shouldn't forget to plan exercise time and relaxation time and family time into our day, because otherwise what's the purpose of grinding? So I agree with you that being in grind mode 24/7, or these guys that say I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning because the early bird gets the worm. Well, that's relative, because I don't get up until about 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning. Now it's been a little bit earlier because I'm doing the show at 11, but I'm up until I'm working at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and those guys are in bed.
Right.
So you work when it works for you, and you build time in there, so that you can you do the things nobody else wants to do, so that you can have the things nobody else wants to have. But you also have to be willing to bring that balance, so that on a daily basis, you're recharging. So there's something that you're able to bring more value to the marketplace the next day.
Yeah, I mean, you have to recharge. I mean, if you get burned out and quit, and you won't have content, and you'll just be in a bad mood, and you'll get depressed. I mean, if you're just grinding all day, and it's really hard. I mean, I don't know how people get results when they do that. I mean, I remember the grind mode and I got results, but it was just like, man, I just remember being so tired and so like burnt out. And it's like, I've already did 20 phone calls today, and now I have to do another 30, but it's like, I just want to eat and read a book and just hang out. But, I mean, everyone's at different places in their life. I mean, if you're broke and your mortgage is due or your rent is due in a couple of days and you have your credit cards racked up, yeah, you might need to stay up 24/7 and grind. I mean, it really depends where you're at on your journey. And like you said, just fitting it into your day. I mean, if you have a little bit more time freedom, where you already have some residual income set up, from a book or previous network marketing companies you were in, or affiliate products. I mean, whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, the feeling of that. I mean, if you emergency comes up or you don't get any work done that day, you're still going to get paid. But until that part, I mean, like you said, it's very important with the balance to networking and direct sales. It is just living your everyday life. I mean, when I'm out there going for a walk, if I see someone sharp or they have a nice watch or they're getting gas and they have a nice car, I'll just throw them a compliment like, hey, that's a really nice Bentley you got there. That's a really nice Rolex, and just something like that. And whether the conversation continues or they say thank you or they don't say anything or, we exchange information, it doesn't matter, but it's just, like you said, mixing it in with your daily life. People would be surprised just by doing that. Some people, they only want to hide behind Facebook or like something like this, like a Google Hangout or YouTube videos, and that's all they want to do. They don't want to go to meetings. They don't want to talk to people in person. None of that. They're so, new school, but it's like, really, I mean, you could do both. I mean, meeting people while you're out and about, or you go get gas in your car, you're eating, and you write a nice little note on your receipt when you go out to eat, and you compliment your waitress. I mean, there's so many different ways to drum up business. You can't look at everyone like, oh, they're going to be the next, like you said, affiliate rock star or a sponsor. But you never know if you have a good product that could change their life. Again, you never know until you talk to them and get to know them. Like, oh, you're working at this job and you're going to school too, and you have another job. Wow, I mean, how do you do it? You need a lot of energy for that. What kind of energy drinks do you drink? You drink coffee? And they're like, oh, yeah, I drink coffee and I drink Mountain Dew, but I'm still tired. Hey, hey, you should try this out. I mean, it's really stupid, simple stuff like that people kind of look over. But if they would just implement that while they're at the beach, while they're at the gym, or if they would if people would just do that, man, I think the income disclosure sheets and all of the this negative stuff about the industry and people only making a little bit, I think all that would increase and go up, and the public perception of the industry would go up a lot more. It's just, I don't know. It seems like the lazy people that get in this,
And you just gave us the key, which is that what you're doing is conversational marketing. It's relationship marketing. You're a product of your product, and for that reason, when you're listening to needs. So when that waiter or waitress tells you that they're working 2 jobs and they're raising kids, and you've listened and you've heard this is somebody who needs has to need energy. And so you ask the right questions. It's engagement. And you said that the perfect thing, I like to say, be married to the process and divorced from the outcome. You see somebody's got a great watch, you tell them they got a great watch. If that conversation goes someplace, great. And you also said that you recognize, that person may not, it's not always about finding the next distributor, finding the next customer, finding the next affiliate. Sometimes it's who they know. So you start a friendship with somebody, and classic example was that I talked to somebody online recently who had a great connection with, really connected with them well. I never ask people to join my business. I don't even tell them what my business is. They usually have to beg me to tell them to get around to saying, well, what's the company? But this person said, I think your personality reminds me of my friend Sue, and she's very bright. She's entrepreneurial. I think she'd love to be mentored by you. And she connected me to her friend. And that turned out to be an incredible relationship for me. It turned out to be, one of those $1 million relationships. And that's only possible when you're not out there, in desperation mode. When you're not saying, hey, I'd like to, nothing against Amway. They certainly have withstood the test of time. But that was, my family joined Amway when I was a kid, and I remember sitting upstairs. We had to go to bed early that night because my parents had the meeting in their living room, and so I sat at the top of the stairs peeking, and I watched the guy drawing circles on the newsprint thing because we didn't have whiteboards back then. We were lucky we had magic markers. So he's drawing circles and he's talking about the business plan. And the next day, my dad's trying to get his arms around it, and he's trying to explain it to the lady across the street who was there. And I said, no, Dad, I'm 7 years old. And I took the pen and I drew the circles and I explained the compensation breakdown. And my dad sat there and said, wait a minute. And he went and called the guy that did the meeting and said, let my son tell you how he just explained the compensation plan to me, and you tell me if he's right. And the guy said, I'm coming, after I explained, he said, I'm coming over right now. I want to, I want to meet your son. And he thought, I was going to be some, 10, 12-year-old kid. And he's already thinking about having me do meetings. I'm 7 years old. And so that next night, not that night, but the following night, my parents had another meeting at their house, and the guy said, I want you to bring your son down here. And he made me draw the circles on the, I did the comp plan for them. And that's when I got bitten by the bug. But I remember that through my whole life, I've taken that same attitude, because as a 7-year-old kid, I really didn't care who signed up. I was just there to share the information, and I was there to show them how, because to me, now I'm sure being high functioning autistic and all that made me a little bit of a weirdo, so that I saw it so soon. But for me, I saw something that had value, and all I wanted to do was share it with people. And I didn't care whether they got started or not, because I didn't have to pay the mortgage. I didn't have to put food on the table. And I tried to keep that with me my entire life. So I try to keep that 7-year-old mentality to this day, because I never know where those relationships are going to take me. And sometimes I get frustrated when I see people who, who think that everybody in the world is their competition. And so they like I had there's a financial services group out there, and there was a really great kid who I was really enjoying trying to help. And I would jump on his posts, and I would say, positive and affirming things. And I would share parts of my story, never recruiting people into my deal, just trying to affirm him and say, hey, that's one of the best advice Jim Rohn gave me, blah, blah, blah. This kid sent me a scathing message and said, I've just blocked you because you're always talking about your success, and you're always talking about Jim Rohn, and you're always talking about the industry and blah, 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 blah. And you're not even relevant anymore. I was like, well, whatever, dude. I was trying to help you and trying to build you up and trying to get you on at that time I was just doing Google Plus, because this platform is only 215 days old. So I was trying to get him on Google Plus on one of my Hangouts, and he just wouldn't do it. He says, you don't understand. You're my competition, and the new money is is going to be where it's at. So this little punk blocked me, and could have just used me for credibility and used me for insight and input, and we could have brought value to one another. Because I'm fortunate that at this stage in my life, I don't need to do that kind of a grind anymore. I don't need so I feel like I have to give back the way that Jim Rohn gave to me and that Larry Thompson gave to me. And so I'm thrilled to be able to have entrepreneurs like yourself on here, and eventually, if we can get the birthday boy onto this platform, Rob Fiardo, happy birthday. I would have loved to have had you on today's show as well, man. But things work out the way they're supposed to. So I think you brought so much value, Joe. We're at the end of our half hour, but you brought so much value that I'm glad that we only had just one guest, because I think folks need to hear your story. They need to connect with you. And you heard him say, if you're in a position where you wonder where you're going to get the energy to get through the next day, get in touch with my man. And I certainly appreciate you being on the show. Look forward to you jumping in anytime, folks. We do these on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I believe. Yeah, Tuesday. I'm going to look at my schedule real quick, because we do one of these every single day. We do these on Mondays and Thursdays, the Prosperity Reinvented show. Tuesdays is a free-for-all show. It could be about anything and everything. Wednesdays is our wellness show. We'll certainly have you on again for one of the wellness shows as well. And thanks for being our guest. Thanks for watching, folks. And remember, share this if you would. You can click on if you're watching this live or in the recording, you can click on the Tell a Little Bird. If you do it while the show is on, it does a really cool little thing where it turns our show into an animated GIF, so that when you tweet that out to your Twitter followers, they actually see me and whoever else is in the room engaging with one another. And then share it on Facebook and be in touch with us. You can get in touch with me at prosperityreinvented.com. Rob, why don't you Joe, why don't you give them contact information for you? How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, you guys can look me up on Facebook. It's Joe Stewart. My blog is workwithjstew.com. So again, it's Joe Stewart, workwithjstew.com. stew.com. That's my official blog. And yeah, I would just look me up on Facebook. That's where I'm the most active and easiest way to get in contact with me.
Cool. I just put your
yeah, thanks for having me on
blog.
the show, man.
Yeah, put your blog post there in the comments,
stew.com.
so when folks are watching this, did I do that right?
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, workwithjstew.com.
Yeah,
cool. So
Yep.
Get in touch with him, stay in touch, connect with both of us, and you guys, you have a great day, Joe, and everybody else, stay in the moment, be grateful for everything you've got, and always remember the best is yet to come. We'll talk soon.
Have a good day, man.